I'm BJ, and we're going over this week in WordPress. News, tutorials, resources, everything that I found this week so that you guys can have a really good end of the week and just get your weekend started off right. So first of all, before we even get to it, before I get to the articles that I found this week that I've put together for you guys, I want to know what your week has been. I want to know what your week in WordPress has looked like. So throughout the stream, feel free to comment. I'm going to be monitoring these so that I can talk to you guys. Just let me know what has been going on. If you've done any cool projects this week, if you've seen any cool articles, feel free to post them up. But please let us know, let me know what is going on so that we can talk about it. Dylan, I just got another voice saying the audio is off. Is it still off, you guys? Before I get started talking about anything else in particular? So I'll go forward unless somebody tells me it's completely wrong, because whenever, even listening through these, I can't hear anything. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about today was the actual, what I talked about you last week. Talked to you about last week, I suppose. Was the WordCamp US 2017 recap. It was published on Saturday, so it was a little bit late for the stream, but I wanted you guys to know that it's up there. And if you weren't able to attend WordCamp US 2017, I'll tell you what I was laughing about in a second. It's a fantastic recap of what the weekend entailed with not This Week in WordPress. That would be awesome if Matt Mullenweg did that. The State of the Word address, where we're talking about Gutenberg and everything that's coming up in the next year, and it has a lot of the Divi Nation in it. So go see if your picture's on there. We've got a lot of people who do Divi plugins who were just hanging out with us in the morning, and in the evening we were going to headquarters Beercade, and it was so much fun just playing video games with every one of you guys, eating corn dogs and playing video games. So go check out the recap post in the description of this video and look and see what all the rest of you guys are up to. Because that happened a couple of weeks ago, about a week and a half. No, it has been 2 weeks now. So, Vladislav, I think I've said that right. Hopefully I did. Was mentioning what I was laughing about, said that when my audio came back, said that it's on and said it was a good song from Korn. And now I've got that playing in my head so that it's just in the back where I can hear John Davis. I was a huge Korn fan years ago whenever they were big in the 90s and early 2000s. So thank you, Vlad. The second thing I wanted to actually talk about was another one from WordCamp 2017, was the talk that Morten Rand Hendrickson gave. Everyone at the conference was talking about it, and finally this week they got the video up. That it was on Friday morning, and everyone, the entire conference, was talking about his Gutenberg talk. And I want you guys to be able to watch that video, watch his talk. It's about 45 minutes long, and he really shows you what Gutenberg is and is able to do. Like I've said before on this stream and in comments, I'm hesitantly excited about Gutenberg. I've been using it a lot lately, and it needs a little bit of UX, but it's getting there. And since he knows it inside and out, he does a really good job of showing you what you can do. It is going to be wonderful for the WordPress ecosystem to bring new users in, but to brag on Divi just a little bit, there's nothing in Gutenberg that you can do that you can't already do in Divi. So keep that in mind right now. Go ahead and use it. But it is really cool to watch what he does with Gutenberg. I think that it's something that if you've avoided it, kind of like I have, it's good to see the kinds of stuff. And honestly, I've been writing in Gutenberg a lot lately. I don't know if you guys have been doing this yet, but with it coming out in about 4 months, I need to get used to it. I need to start using it. So anytime I write on a different blog or something like that on personal stuff, I've been trying to use Gutenberg, and watching his talk really taught me how to use part of it that I didn't know how and didn't know that was possible. So it's pretty interesting to watch. So it was published this week, finally put up online. You should definitely go watch it. And if you haven't done the State of the Word, listen to it, then there is a link in the WordCamp recap that we did on the Elegant Themes blog that both of those are linked in the description here. Moving forward, one of the articles that I saw this morning, it's really sad to me, is Storify is closing on May 26th. The WordPress plugin is being discontinued, and a lot of people are kind of rushing to export all of their stories that they've put together on Storify. It makes me really sad because this is an excellent tool for journalists and just web activists and people on the web. It's awesome. It's where you can go through, and for those of you who haven't used Storify, it's a service. Oh, wow, my accent came through good on that one. It's a service where you can go through and take tweets and put together a narrative of of everything that you want to basically tell a story, to plot out anything. And it's been just fantastic, and I hate that they're closing down. WP Tavern has a long write-up on it. I think that you guys should pay attention to it, especially if you've ever done anything on Storify. A lot of people use them and use the WordPress plugin to host the stories and embed and keep everything, within your ecosystem there, and you'll probably want to go export all of your stuff. They're being hit pretty hard. There have been some issues with exporting the stories, but we have another 6 months for this. So I'll tell you what I'm laughing at in a minute. This is always the comments. It's always comments when I laugh out of tune. I am out of story mode here. So it's just crazy. I get distracted and start laughing. But if you use Storify, please go export your stuff. You don't want to lose it. You'll be able to do that. And Uncle Social had mentioned in the comments that I bet my Kenneth from 30 Rock impression is amazing. And I don't know if it's much a Kenneth, but I tend to have my Southern. I'm Southern. I'm from Alabama, for those of you who don't know, in the Southern United States. And so I have the Southern accent, but I've always got my Southern accent that I use for everybody, and this is the one that I use whenever I'm doing a real big impression of somebody. And it's kind of like Kenneth from 30 Rock, but it's not quite there. But I'm not one for Southern stereotypes. If working for a software company in tech didn't let you know that, but I love you too, Apon World. I love you too. So remember, go look at Storify. Make sure that you get your stuff exported, because the last thing you want is putting all of your stories out there and the work that you've put into them and just have it completely lost. So you want to do that. Now, one thing that I don't know if I actually count this as a news story or a resource, but I wanted to absolutely make sure I talked about it, that WP Shout has an article this week from David Hayes that is just called "What WordPress Means to Me." And I think that every single person on this stream right now, everybody watching, everybody who is gonna watch this whenever it gets archived on Facebook and YouTube, I think everybody has a story of why we're here watching a live stream about WordPress, that this software, that this community has meant something to us. I mean, and David goes through this, and the first thing that he says, the first thing that he talks about in this is that WordPress gave him a job that he couldn't dream of. And I feel the same way. That's why this kind of latched on to me, because I think some of you are probably in this exact same boat, that we were doing something else and we didn't know where to go, and we landed on WordPress and we realized that this is where we want to be, that there is something just completely fantastic about this, and that it gave us an opportunity to get in and make our livings and do something with something that we love. And he's talking a lot about how the community around WordPress is the best part about it, that you guys are the best, and that that makes me really, like, I lost my train of thought because I saw a comment. I appreciate you missing that. I don't know what that is, Torin, but I appreciate that. Explain to me what the Sheffield Wednesday versus Wolverhampton Wanderers are. But one of the things that he talks about, and you guys have all dealt with this as well, is that it is a continuous, WordPress itself is a continuous source of low-key embarrassment. So, okay, I came into WordPress as something just to pay the bills because I had 8 or 9 years of experience doing this as a hobby. And when I was training to be a developer, I was teaching myself to code, I was working through PHP, doing tutorials, and I was working on moving out of education into freelancing. And it's that WordPress was just something I knew, and I didn't think much about it because people were embarrassed about it. People talked about it, talked down to it, that it was just something out there, that you're not a real developer, you're not a real designer, that you're using themes. You know, people say this a lot about page builders like Divi. It's like, oh, you're not doing this work using this tool. And it's like, no, you're doing this. We're getting paid. And he talks about how these conferences, these developers who talk like this, they don't quite understand. And so it's, you know, he says that WordPress remains the butt of jokes at PHP conferences more than any other project. And it's true, but we're also 29% of the internet. So we need to just take those disparaging comments and not really pay them any mind because we're a community here. And that's what he lands on. And he lands on that the community here is the best part about it, and that we're all friends. Like, the number of friends I made at WordCamp US last weekend was absurd. Like, I love every one of them, and I love you guys. And he talks that WordPress, you know, is frustrating and that we're not in control, and that Josh Pollock was from Caldera Forums kind of coined the term is soft anarchy. That with it being an open source project, that there's kind of soft anarchy with a government that goes over it in committees and stuff. But in the end, he talks about having a lot of gratitude for WordPress, that this community, that this software, this platform, this ecosystem, whatever you want to call it, has brought all of us together and made it so that we can do this. And that I think that if you guys watch this stream, then you need to read this article, because I'm pretty sure that it's going to hit on the same kind of emotional chord that with you guys that it did with me. So that is in the description of this video. Make sure that you click on it and go read that article. So for those of you who are just joining us, this is the This Week in WordPress stream, where I'm going through news and tutorials and resources that were published this week in the WordPress ecosystem. It's the ecosystem, you guys, that may be of use to you guys. Here at Elegant Themes, we really, really love the community. We love you, the Divi Nation, and we want to bring as much value as we possibly can, and we want to get to know you. I want to get to know you. So if you've had anything cool this week happen in WordPress in your world, throw it in the comments and let me know. Throw it in the live chat on YouTube or on Facebook, and we'll talk about that. So I'm in the middle of the news right now. I've still got the tutorials and the resources to go through, so we will be talking a lot more about stuff. I also wanted to thank Tobias and Torin for letting me know that it's a soccer match that they were talking about with the Wanderers and Sheffield, or the Wolverhampton and Sheffield, that I would love to get involved, not get involved, but get invested in soccer. I have so many friends and international students who tried to get me invested, and just not much of a sports guy, but that's okay. That's okay. Running is my thing. I'd love to get invested in soccer. You guys are going to have to teach me how. So everyone's talking good stuff about, help each other out, talk about WooCommerce. They're talking in the in the YouTube comments about Woo Injector plugins. So we're doing good. Help you guys help each other out. So getting back to the news, do this. Honestly, before I do that, honestly, there's no way I can pronounce your name. GSO Browpinto? There's no way I can say that well. So I don't honestly know anything at all about Divi and the Woo layout injector. That is not something I've ever used. I've seen the Woo layout injector, and I've never actually touched it. So you don't want me to tell you about it, but it looks like Tobias M is taking that conversation in the comments. So thank you, Tobias. I really appreciate that. I've had I love Brazilian students that I've had. So hello from them. I have one who wanted me to try churrasco, and it was the most wonderful thing I've ever had. So thank you, Brazil, for that. So moving into the to the news again. GoDaddy did a roundup. This is news. This is something that all of you guys already know, that they did a roundup of the most popular WordPress plugins and themes of 2017. And I love that Divi is one of them. Divi is this is the reason I brought it up. I have to do a little bit of shameless plugs here for our software, because you guys all know it's fantastic. That we are one of the top three themes that were installed on GoDaddy in 2017. It was us, Zarif, and Sydney, outside of the default 2017, because obviously that's going to be the most installed. So thank you guys, those of you who use GoDaddy. Thank you for using Divi, and check out the link in the description for this roundup so that you can see all of the fantastic plugins that you may not have caught hold of, that you may not have used at this point, because they have a really good roundup of that, of kind of a best of the year stuff. So thanks, GoDaddy, for doing that. And Vladislav, asked what WordPress forms are good to use in Divi. I personally use Ninja Forms. There is a new Divi-specific Caldera Forms module that they have just published recently that was written by a member of our Divi Nation. Believe it was Pierre. I cannot remember his last name. Bouton, maybe. That may be something. I may be making that up. It's awesome. I've also had really good luck with people have told me they've had really good luck with Gravity Forms. So those, I have more experience with Ninja Forms personally, but I would say any of those would be fine for forms. I am glad that Divi is working fine with GoDaddy as well, and I'm not a fan of GoDaddy blacklists either, but I don't like blacklists pretty much anywhere. So, but yeah, Vlad, try those out. Any of those three should be fine, and they've all got absolutely fantastic support and people behind them, so can't recommend them enough. And if I missed your contact form plugin, then please don't hate me. Those are just the three that I know that I've used the most, so I'm sure your form is awesome. Hi, Sebastian. So moving on a little bit, I think that Freemius did an awesome article this week on what Gutenberg means for the future of commercial WordPress products. And please, let me stop right here before I go in this. This is not the Gutenberg show. That this is not a show where I'm going to be talking about Gutenberg all the time. It just so happens that's where the WordPress news is focusing right now. I don't want you guys to come in every week and be like, Gutenberg, what's he going to say about Gutenberg this week? But it is something that we're all going to be dealing with. So I want to talk about it as much as the WordPress community is talking about it. And it was a really interesting article that Freemius did that you should definitely check out. And it has some quotes from the people who are building Elementor and Beaver Builder, and just basically looking at what Gutenberg means for us, for Divi, and stuff like that, for the page builder community like we are. I really thanks. It really, let me think how to put this. I'm excited about it because what that means is that we have competition in WordPress from places like Wix and Squarespace. They are great. They are great page builders. They're great website builders, but they're not WordPress. But people go to them because they're easy. When we have Gutenberg, it is going to bring people from them into WordPress, because we're going to have default that kind of functionality. And once they're a part of the WordPress community, they're going to see the power in stuff like Divi, because Divi gives a lot more stuff that you can do than Gutenberg does. And that's the gist of this article, that Freemius calls out that, yeah, we're going to have this stuff in core, and yeah, it does a lot of the same stuff that we do, but we're excited about it because we're going to be able to integrate with it, and we're going to be able to have these people who are coming in and new to WordPress and see us as the more powerful option and still come here. It's going to be great. Elementor and Beaver Builder and Visual Composer, they all see this as well, and that's really what the article is talking about, that it's just more people coming to WordPress, which is always a good thing. We're going to be moving from 29% of the internet all the way up, you guys. So we're good, but it is a good article. And Torin, the last one in the news, what's new in Gutenberg on the 11th of December. So check that out. It is something to look out. They did put a new 1.9 update out. New stuff, making it faster, making it work, new functionalities for widget blocks or gallery blocks and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Check it out. Just patch notes, nothing new, but you guys should be aware of it. So for those of you who are just joining us now, I just finished up the news section for This Week in WordPress. This stream will be archived on our YouTube and Facebook pages, so if you missed anything at all, then you can always go back once this stream ends so that you can watch it. Go back or you can go and click through every single one of the links in the description of this video and read them all on your own. That is something that would be awesome for you to do, because that would be supporting all of the fantastic creators who have made this possible, who are putting out this content every week so that I can come in here and talk to you guys about it. So we got a comment on Facebook that says Nikki Newman is saying that Caldera works very well with Divi. So I'm glad to have another one, another push for that, another vote for that one. And it does work pretty well out of the box anyway, and with the new Divi plugin there, it's good too. So thank you, Nikki, for backing that up. Really appreciate that. And so if you guys have anything, before I move into the tutorials, if you guys have anything you've been working on this week in WordPress that you want to share, shout outs for your project, shout outs for something that you've learned, that you've built, go right ahead. Let's talk about it and be awesome. Let's be friends. That's my favorite thing. I love being people's friends. So in the tutorials, there are a lot of tutorials this week, you guys. Oh my goodness, y'all, there have been a lot of tutorials published. So of the ones that were published this week, the number one that I wanted to talk about, the first one, is how to use FTP to upload files to WordPress. Because people are scared of FTP, that especially if they're not used to computers and WordPress themselves. And I'm not saying that for you guys, I'm saying that for your clients. That if you have ever passed something off to clients and they've probably had some sort of issue with getting things uploaded and had to call you back, this is a really good article that WP Beginner throws out there to teach people how to use FTP. And I'm with you, so Torin, that FileZilla is my go-to, and it's still confusing for people who've never used it. They don't really understand what FTP is. This is just a great one, that if you're not familiar with it, if you're not even familiar with it, if you're not comfortable with it, by the time you get through this WP Beginner article, I think you will be comfortable with FTP. So show it to your clients as well. And Uncle Social, I've been working with custom post types myself, actually. It's something I don't use that much. I haven't had much of a reason to. So I've been using it for a particular project I've been working on. And once you see the power in custom post types, it's exactly like you said, that you wonder how you've ever made a site without them. I'm working on one for a podcast. For a podcast site and live streaming site, and it's just like, how did I ever do this without custom post types? So I'm right there with you. So moving on, I think that WPMU Dev has done a great article on how to check for plugin conflicts. It is awesome because every single one of us, me, you, everybody in these comments who are reading, who are watching this, everyone who is reading about WordPress has had a plugin conflict. And what I mean by plugin conflict is that something breaks your site, that you're not sure exactly what it is. And it could be a conflict between two plugins butting heads. It could be between your theme and a new or updated plugin, or it could be the new theme was updated and the WordPress version didn't work, that a plugin got updated and like you're on WordPress 4.8 and 4.9. It needs, like, there's all sorts of stuff that has been going on that you have had go on in your site. And so they are breaking it down at WPMU Dev, and I love these guys. Those people put out such good content. They go through how to troubleshoot and fix plugin conflicts with your site is up and a plugin's not working. An updated plugin and now something's broken. You installed a new one and something broke. That you've automated. I didn't remember this headline. That this third scenario they bring up is automated or batch updates where you do everything once you hit update all hell is broken loose. And I am fairly certain that every single person watching this who uses WordPress has had that happen, where you've white screened your site, you've updated everything, and all of a sudden there's PHP errors, everything is just broken, and they're telling you how to fix it. Like, they go in and show you how to do all of this. So please check out the WPMU Dev article about this, that if you've ever run into any kind of problems with plugins, that's a good place to start. That WP Explorer did an awesome article on how to make your WordPress site mobile friendly, and it is not a using a responsive theme kind of stuff. It is kind of best practices, how to optimize your images, different viewport sizes, not using full screen plugins, just kind of food for thought more than anything else, where I actually redid one of my sites, my personal freelance site recently, because I had full screen menus that popped up, and when I went to use it, I hated it. So I was not going to put that on my users. And so that's something that I think that you should check out. Very quick, very small, but I wanted to let you know about it. That WordPress.com is something that we don't talk about a lot. Now, because we're WordPress.org users, most likely. I mean, you're part of the Divi Nation. You have a self-hosted WordPress install. But WordPress.com did a blog that is managing your blog on a mobile device. And I absolutely had to tell you guys about this, because if you've not used the mobile app, that they have updated a lot recently, then I highly suggest that you download it and give it a shot, because they have made so many updates to this that it's just improvements just left and right. And I've actually updated my site from it before. Like, I never would have thought about doing that before, like the last 3 months, and I've made updates using the mobile app. It's crazy. It's good, and they walk you through how to do it on mobile, and that's something that honestly WordPress needs. I mean, it's something that with as many people who use mobile on a daily basis, we need a good app to be able to handle everything. And, you know, the WordPress one isn't that bad now. I like it. Tells you how to do some of the new stuff. So check that out. I wanted to make sure you knew about it, and I wanted to make sure that if you have never looked at it, now is the right time to go check it out and get walked through the new app. Whew, gotta breathe. I get excited and I talk really fast, and so then I finally calm down a little bit, get winded, and have to just take a breather for a second. I got a Divi sticker on my water bottle from WordCamp. I had to steal me a Divi sticker, so I love it. It's not branded. It's just I put a sticker on it. One of the tutorial articles that I found was 9 things you should know in advance to estimate on a WooCommerce project. And this one hit home for me because it's really, really hard to gauge how much work you're going to put into an e-commerce project. There's so many variables, there's so many moving parts, there's so much data that you have to deal with, and them breaking it down just gives you an idea of what you might need. And I did this, it was last December. It was about a year ago that I bid on a WooCommerce project and didn't get it because my rate was higher than their budget. That's okay. That happens. But taking everything into consideration like this, I bid around $20,000. And that's a lot for a single project. And I rated it out. It was a little lower than what I thought it should be, but I was trying to be at least competitive. Sent it to a friend who did e-commerce stuff, and he came back and said, yeah, I wouldn't do that for less than $25,000. And so that made me feel good that I'd done that. But it was because I took everything into account, because I looked at e-commerce knowing all of the moving parts. And so they break it down in this article on what you need to consider. And so if you've never really had taken the time and you think that dealing with a full-on WooCommerce install and project is going to be as easy or simple as some WordPress projects are, there's a little bit more to it. So I want to point you in that direction so that you can make sure that you don't undersell yourself when you're doing that, and that you make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into, because some of them can be a little complicated. And Torin just asked in the comments on YouTube if you have to have a WordPress.com account to use the app. Yeah, you do. I signed in. I've linked all of mine together with my WordPress.com account, and just kind of keep everything on there and looking at it that way. So yeah, if there's a way around it, I don't know it, and I couldn't figure it out, so I just use my WordPress.com account, which I actually... Yeah, because it's .com instead of .org. I had to use .org for WordCamp sites. So yeah, if you ever look at WordCamp sites and you do that, you use a WordPress.org account, which is different. But that's also where you go in for the support forums. And if you're going to get involved in core contributing as well, you need a WordPress.org account. It's really good to have one of those. It will also track a lot of the stuff that you do as long as you're a member of the WordPress community, and you can also get involved on Slack that way and just see some of the meetings. So with a WordPress.org account, and you can use the app with a .com account. RAR, you're welcome. Thank you. I didn't come up with the simplest, most easy to use builder, but I'll take credit for it. Thank you so much for being a part of the Divi Nation and tuning in. Really appreciate that. Like I said, I didn't do anything with the builder itself, but hey, it's awesome. I use it myself even before I started working here. So I agree with you. I was a member of the Divi Nation and loved it myself. So for those of you, just tuning in, just turning me on here, I wanted to let you know that I'm in the middle of the tutorial section of this live stream. This is This Week in WordPress, and the tutorials I'm talking about have all been published this week. So they're new, they're out there, and I want to make sure that you know about them. That I think that it's a fantastic it's a fantastic thing to keep, up to date. I'm always the kind of guy, when I was talking with my content manager about starting this up, we were just kind of discussing, what I did for fun. And when it came up that I was reading articles all the time anyway, this was a really good fit. So I'm just putting the stuff together, doing what I do for fun. So these are things I wanted to let you guys know about. So in the tutorial stuff here, keeping on talking about the WooCommerce stuff, one of the moving parts that you have to deal with when you're dealing with WooCommerce, and really any kind of e-commerce, but WooCommerce is kind of the biggest, the biggest player in the WordPress game, is how to secure your clients' sensitive data when working on their WooCommerce site. And it's something that I think is super important. I'm really big on privacy and digital encryption and digital security. So Codable.io did this huge thing on 3 ways that you can protect this data, and it's fantastic. It is just wonderful to let you know about things that I'd never thought of. Like, I've thought about encrypting the data. They talk about when you're handing off your site or you're getting handed a site that you're going to have access to this client's customer data. You're going to have a lot of it, and part of it I've thought about encrypting it. I mean, you guys have probably done that too. You've had them encrypt stuff before they send it to you, or you've encrypted all of it before, you've sent your credentials over to your developer. Maybe you have signed a non-disclosure agreement with someone. I know a lot of companies deal with those when they're very high profile, when they're very sensitive pieces of data that you have, that when you have this store, when you're dealing with massive amounts of money, maybe you'll sign a non-disclosure agreement where there is a legally binding contract that it's protected. And then one that they had that the reason I wanted to bring this up specifically was talking about building a clone site. And this is something that that I'd never ever considered. Was you take the site and you clone it with dummy data on it. You do all of the updates and anything that you have that you're hired to do. And then when you get finished, you can package up those updates in a plugin that you can hand off to your client, and they can just install and get it installed that way. It's an awesome idea that I never ever thought of. That when they said that, I'm like, yeah, that would work. And it's like, of course it would work. It's uncodable. And so this is why I'm not a back-end dev. But that's a great way to do it. Do a dummy site or a clone site with dummy data, and put all of the info or all of the updates in a plugin to send back. I just thought that was awesome. Like that's a fantastic solution where you never see any of it. You don't have to worry about encryption. You don't have to worry about NDAs. You basically just build a staging site. And that's awesome to me. There's also trusting your developers is what they talk about. I thought that was really cool. But because I've had that happen to me, it's like I try to be a super trustworthy guy. And so if you have a reputation for good work and trust and not letting bad stuff happen to data, then you're going to be able to get clients with it. So there's always that. Hi, Jeff. I saw your comment and was in the middle of ranting, so I just want to say hi. You're on Facebook, so hello. Thank you for joining us. And Tobias brings up a really good point in the YouTube chat about that any of you EU users out there, and this, okay, let me put it this way. If this applies and comes from the EU, but it affects everyone, if you do business with anyone in the EU ever. In May, there is a new GDPR is what they're calling it, the General Data Protection Regulation, and these are massive changes to the way that data is handled, that privacy is handled, that accessibility is handled, and opt-ins are handled. Like everything is being affected by this. If you go back to our very first Divi Nation, This Week in WordPress live stream, there are links about it there where Nathan and I were discussing it. If you please Google, I don't have any links on hand right now, but please Google WordPress and the GDPR. Like I said, GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, it was passed. And this is not a bad thing. Like, it is not a bad thing at all. This is not something where it's going to be punitive. It is absolutely protective, but there are a lot of fines and lots of things that you need to be aware of if you're handling any kind of business or data that comes from the EU. And that means even visitor data. Like, this means even if you have whatever your site is, if you have visitors just coming from the EU, then you have their data. And all of the cookie warnings that we have on pretty much every website now, those don't cut it anymore. So you need to be able to look at your site, do an assessment for the GDPR, and see what you in particular have to do to stay within these regulations. And they do come up in May. So even if you're not an EU member, even if you're not I'm from Alabama. I mean, I've never been to the EU. It's something that I need to pay attention to for the data that comes in. So go in and check that out, you guys. So that was the WooCommerce tutorial. I'm going to move on out of the tutorials right now because time is running short. We've got about 15 minutes left on the stream, and I do want to get to some of the resources. And remember, you guys, that all of the stuff I'm talking about and so many more, so much more, are in the description of this video. So I want to remind you to click on the links, go through, see if anything is interesting to you and that you want to read more about, and support all of the fantastic WordPress community who puts out this content each and every week. The reason that we can get together every Friday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern, to be able to talk about it is because it exists, and so support them and go check out their sites and maybe make a friend there too. Can you tell I like making friends and talking to people, y'all? So moving into the resources, again, I have to do a shameless plug. This stream is brought to you by Elegant Themes, the makers of Divi. And so, is it 8 p.m. UTC? I did not know that. Thank you, Uncle Social. I had absolutely no clue what time it was UTC. So I appreciate that. I remember last week on Twitter, you were saying that once you figured out what time it was in UTC, that you would tune in. So I appreciate you letting me know what time that is. So and it's 2:14 a.m. in India. Holy moly, you must really like me, ARR. How do you pronounce your name? You're gonna have to tell me phonetically. There's no way I can. I'm like, thank you. 2:14 a.m. Man, I haven't stayed up to 2:14. I haven't stayed up to 2:14 a.m. in a long time. Actually, since WordCamp US, when the Divi Nation kept me awake that long. I'm an old man. Man, it's 8 o'clock in London. Okay, so that's UTC. Man, 21:44 in Denmark. It's already, gosh, y'all staying up late. Arun. It's gonna be the last one, right? It's Arun. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna get it wrong. So that's awesome, you guys. I love talking to you guys. It makes me so happy. I'm sorry, Cody, in Facebook, that is coming from the YouTube live chat. There is a lot of chatter that we have over there. I apologize for people on Facebook that don't see that. I wish there was a way to really bring in both chats for this, because it would be fantastic, because we're streaming to both of them simultaneously. But I try to say where it comes from generally, but I do truly apologize for that, Cody. I got caught up talking with commenters, and that had to have been terribly confusing. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you too, Roy. That was from the Facebook comments. I wished everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Ago and Arun. A from ago. Run. I did this. This was something that there's a commenter on YouTube named Arun. As a teacher, I've had the worst time pronouncing people's name. I'm terribly sorry. I'm just gonna call you A. I'm sorry. I'm so terribly sorry. But in the resources section, moving back to this, talking about the shameless plug that we have to do here at Elegant Themes, every week we put out we put out a Divi layout pack for free that you can download. Just put in your email and you will get a download link. And if you've already signed up for the email list, you won't get extra emails. You're not going to get like 400 emails from us. It'll only include you once. But you can download a free, this week, photo marketplace layout pack. It is beautiful, y'all. There's a use case on the blog that Jason did on Tuesday about setting it up and using WooCommerce with like vendors to sell other people's photography. It's awesome. Kenny and his team really outdid themselves on this one, so you can click the link in the resources part of the description to get to it. And so I wanted to let you guys know about it. And if you don't check those out every Monday, they're published every Monday on our blog. So you probably should go check them out because they are awesome. They are beautiful, and they work with both Divi and Extra. So if you're an Extra user, you are not left out. We love you too. So moving forward through the resource, I just want to let you know about that. But WPRocket.me, WP Rocket is awesome, by the way. They did probably one of the biggest, most searched for questions that I see a lot. I've searched for this myself, tried to explain it to clients. Shared hosting versus VPS hosting versus dedicated hosting versus cloud hosting. There are lots of differences. There are lots of similarities. And rather than me going through them right here, please click on the WP Rocket link so that you can read about them. They are all different, and you have a completely different need than the person next door. So, like for me, for my personal blogs, I just need shared hosting. I am not terribly worried about being singled out by a particular attacker. I'm not dealing with any kind of sensitive information. I'm talking about fitness and video games. So on my personal stuff, I need shared hosting. Some people need dedicated hosting. Some people need cloud hosting, and that is different than shared, but it's still shared. So it's like subcategories, and then you have VPS hosting. Like I said, go to WP Rocket. Check it out. They will tell you a lot about it, and that way you can be informed to tell your clients. That way that you may need to switch from where you're going because you see what's out there, and you may recognize that you need something different. Yoast. Okay, so this is my favorite one all week long. Let me talk to you about this. I love this. This is where I get excited, right? This is where I get super excited that Yoast put out an article. Yoast put out an article about emojis. And if you couldn't tell from my personality, you guys, bye Charlie. I just saw you in the YouTube comments. Thank you. Good talk. Come back later. Come back when we do this again. Yoast put out this article about emojis. I love emojis. And if you guys don't know me by now, if you can't tell by my personality, I love emojis. You know, I'm the kind of guy who would just emoji constantly, like I speak in emojis. And somebody wrote to Yoast and asked whether or not emojis are good for SEO. And, you know, you got to think about that. You know, I mean, if somebody is Googling for poop and they bring the poop emoji up, and somebody just uses the poop emoji, does Google do that? Do they use that? And the answer is yes. Yes, they do. Yes, Uncle Social, I am an emoji, and I love my excitement too, Lindley. And just pause on the emoji thing right now. Mike has the best comment for the day, I believe, on Facebook, who says that he would take a bullet for WP Rocket. And so anybody who says that about a company means you have to go read their article. So go read the hosting article. Thank you, Mike. I'm assuming they've saved your site before. Hi, Nicholas. So these emojis, all right, they work for SEO. And I didn't know that they showed up in meta descriptions. And that's what they're talking about here, is that when you use the Yoast SEO plugin, which you should be doing anyway. We use it at Elegant Themes. I've talked about it last week, I believe, on, you know, learning so much about WordPress that I'm having to make all of my articles green with readability and SEO. And I'm learning so much on how to be a better writer because of it. And part of it is using the meta description in the meta box that Yoast provides you underneath there's the tiny MCE and the meta box of Yoast right underneath it. And when you edit that, apparently you can put an emoji. Guys, emoji shows up on Google results if they're in the meta description. Yoast says that you guys that readers will see them and that can draw attention to them. So be on the cutting edge of this. I'm gonna be, y'all. I can't tell you how many emoji I'm gonna start putting in emojis on my meta descriptions. That I love them. I love emojis so much, and so to see that Yoast recommends using them for SEO, well, it just made my heart swell 3 sizes. My heart grew 3 sizes that night. It's just, oh, you guys, I'm so happy about it. And Tobias is talking about this in the YouTube comments, saying that speed optimization on sites, that emojis are not the best for it. He had to disable emojis because if you're not using them, you're absolutely right. If you're not using emoji, it is just an extra script that you have to run to have them rendered. but if you're like me and you want to put them in your meta description, I'm just astonished. I have to have them enabled. And I will say that on to Tobias's point on this, that every time this week that I've run a site site speed check on anything, that one of the scripts that comes back that needs to be combined is the emoji script. So be aware it will impact your site speed. So when you're doing optimizations, then you probably will want to check that out. Speaking about site speed, we released an update today to Divi. This is I'll say this is within resources. I didn't include a link to this because you can just go hit the update button on your WordPress dashboard. We included an update for the Divi builder and the Divi theme to the new React 16 library. That we have updated the library, which means that we have focused on speed for you guys. So it's going to be page refresh. There's going to be faster turnaround on using the visual builder. It's just going to be a better experience overall. We're working on speed for you guys. So go do that update. And if you've not used the visual builder yet, if you're one of the users who tends to use the back-end builder, that is A-OK. That's fine. The classic builder is good. We call it classic right now, just between me. And there is a wireframe mode that you need to do, that you can use. That's when you have the Divi page, hit the purple ellipsis at the bottom, and all the way, the second to last icon on the left is now a wireframe mode, that when you click it, it brings up the option to see the entire site like the backend mode in the visual builder. So you guys need to check that out. It's awesome. And Vladislav has said that he's tried the new React 16 one already, and it is working faster. So awesome. Glad to hear that. And Tobias, you got 100 at Tobias. Let's brag on Tobias here for his week in WordPress right here. He got 100 out of 100 on Google Insights on one of his sites using Divi this week, and I need to get you access to all of mine so that you can do that for me. I have never hit 100 out of 100. That's fantastic. And then John Cooper in the YouTube comments did mention that was excited about the speed boost, that I'm excited about it too. He hasn't been able to try it out. We've got some people doing it. And let's see, Judy asks, is there a visual portfolio that shows all of the layouts? I'm finding it challenging to remember what each one looks like and having to load them into the site. Judy, we are working on it. I don't remember where he posted it. It may have just been in some of the Facebook groups, like the Divi web designers or the Divi theme users. But Nick has posted some of the mock-ups and screenshots that we're doing to include that. We are working on it. It is coming soon. I know that's kind of like if you've ever played World of Warcraft. I always say soon TM because I don't know when that's coming. But with him already posting about it and giving sneak peeks, it's coming soon. It's going to have thumbnails. You'll be able to search through all of the free layout packs. And the last that I heard from it, that with this visual portfolio for our new free layout packs, they are going to be searchable. And when you get a new one every Monday, it's going to be added directly to that portfolio. So I want to remind you about that. That's awesome. Thank you for asking about that so that I could let everybody know since he had posted about it earlier this week, I believe. Tobias, one page site. Hey, still, you got it. And render blocking. I don't know. So Divi uses React.js. I take it that this library would be best to use if we're wanting to use JS functionality to our sites. Torin, that depends entirely on what you're wanting to do with it. We use React. It's a fantastic library, but it does have a fairly high learning curve. I want to remind you... I want to remind you about things like Vue is a lot lighter and it's a little easier to learn. You can use it and there shouldn't be any kind of clashes or issues with using it and React together. And there's also a library called Preact. Just add a P on it. Preact, that is kind of a minified version of React. It's a fork of the React license or the React repository, and they've done really well. I think the entire library is like 3 kilobytes, like it's crazy, like 3K. And I'm not even joking, like it's ultra small, and it does stuff. So that's something to look into as well. But React, the reason that we're going with, I don't know why we went with React initially. Let me say that I wasn't a part of the team then, but I know that a lot of people are continuing with React because that's what they're continuing Gutenberg with, and by adopting it into that, it's just fewer compatibilities. But that's what I would suggest. Look into Vue if you've not done. If you don't know React, Vue may be a little bit easier to dig in because I've dug into React and it does have a learning curve. And Uncle Social says that would be great about the on YouTube says great about the Divi 100 stuff in there. That would be awesome. I don't think that's included in the plan right now, but I will definitely run it up and let them know that has been requested. So you guys, we have talked a lot. I did not get through nearly all of the links. Never do. That's the reason for the description. That's where you can click on all of them. But I want to remind you to click in all of them. Go check it out. Just really quickly to run through the end of this. I'm not sure, Torin. I'm not 100% sure about .org or JS. If you could be a little clearer, or if you're asking somebody else, sorry. And then, I want to run through some of these at the very end just to let you know what's down in the resources. That there is a fantastic plugin I found this week called WP Downgrade that WP Shout talks about that lets you roll back WordPress sites from the newest install to any other install. So you can go all the way back to 1.0 if you want to. I thought about doing that just to play around with it and see what it is. Mobile device widths, just for designers to keep in mind. And there is a Gumbo theme review. There's a new podcasting theme. It's not us, called Gumbo, that looks really cool. It's a premium one that I really think is beautiful. And the reason I included it on here is that I did a podcast site. My first article for Elegant Themes was designing a podcast site, and I want to go back and redo it looking like Gumbo. Like, it is beautiful, and for those of you who are designers out there, I think that looking at this Gumbo theme is that the link is on WP Lift. I think it's a great way. It's beautiful, and you can get a lot of inspiration from it on if you're working on video or podcasting sites. Really simple SSL is fantastic for encryption. I've been using it myself on every site. There is no reason to use to do it the hard way with it. I try to avoid, like Tobias said in the comments, I try to avoid plugins whenever there's an easy way to do it or a simple way to do it without it. But honestly, a one-click Let's Encrypt SSL install is fantastic. Really simple SSL is one of my favorite plugins in the world. And Mike in the Facebook comments is saying that he can confirm on WP Downgrade. He used it when 4.9 broke all of the visual builders last month, and he needed to roll back to 4.8. A plus plus plus. It's like an eBay feedback. I agree. It is A plus plus plus. I've been working on some tutorials this week for WordPress 4.9, and I've needed to go back between 4.9 and 4.8 to show the difference, and so it was just fantastic for me. So if that's something that you do, look into WordPress or WP Downgrade. It's really, really cool. And Aaron asked about disabling the really simple SSL plugin after activation. I don't know. I've never tried. I'm assuming someone else has and can answer that. I just have not. I just have not tried to disable it. I probably should and see if it breaks anything on a test site. So you guys, I'm over where I need to be right now. And yes, Tobias says that, yes, you can disable it. He's tried that. So awesome. Thank you for that. I wanted to get that out there because the live chat on YouTube goes away after we're done. So I want to thank every last one of you. For tuning in today. It has been a fantastic, fantastic discussion. I really, really appreciate that. This is going to be my last This Week in WordPress for 2017. I'll be back on, I think it's January 5th in 2018. Because of the way the holidays fall, I won't be doing this. We'll be out of the office or out of the home office, I suppose, as you see where I'm at. But I want to wish everybody a fantastic holiday season. I hope everything goes so wonderfully well for you guys. Click all the links in the description of this video. I'll go ahead and say do the subscribe and like thing. And honestly, I just want to say thank you. You guys are fantastic. Divi Nation, you are wonderful. And I'll be around the blog. I'll be around on Twitter. All of that stuff. So you folks are just wonderful, and thank you for tuning in. On Monday, we have another live stream coming. It's our next one for the Divi feature update with Mac. He is going to walk you through everything that has been added to Divi, and his videos are always fantastic. And Arun, I appreciate that. You can call me whatever you want. I've been called way worse than Mr. Mentor. So that's fine by me. You guys, I hope, like I said, I hope you have a fantastic, fantastic holiday season. And if you need me, y'all know where I am. And I will see you guys. I will see you guys next year. Happy holidays, everybody.